They say blood makes you family, but loyalty is what makes you stay. And sometimes the harshest truth is realizing the people you'd give everything for would never do the same for you. My name is Eric. I'm 29. For most of my life, I thought I knew what family was supposed to mean. Not the greeting card version, but the kind that keeps you grounded. The kind you quietly carry even when it weighs you down. I was always the reliable one, the middle child, invisible between a golden older brother and a princess younger sister. Adam was the charming star, the one my parents bragged about. Mia was adored from the moment she was born. And me, I was told I was not living up to my potential. I stayed quiet, studied hard, earned a scholarship, and built something from scratch. After years of sleepless nights, ramen dinners, and rejection from investors, my small IT firm finally took off. And only then, only when the money came, did my family suddenly remember I existed. At first, it was little things. Dad asked me to cover Adam's car payments just until the promotion comes through. Then came Mia's tuition, Mom's roof repairs, the heating system, even the kitchen remodel. I didn't complain. I convinced myself I was building a legacy, making their lives better. But it wasn't gratitude I got in return. It was entitlement. My help became their expectation. Every time my phone buzzed with another, "Can you VMO me for groceries?" I felt myself disappearing a little more. The breaking point came last Thanksgiving. I hosted for the first time, proud of the home I'd built. I catered the food, set up the fire pit, thought maybe this year they'd finally see me. But instead, Adam made a toast about how family always comes through without even mentioning my effort. Mia sat glued to her phone. Dad spent the night boasting about how much harder his life had been. Not one of them lifted a finger, not even to help clean. That night, smiling through the ache, I already knew I was slipping away from them. 2 months later, I came home to a voicemail from my dad. His voice was sharp, cold. "All you do is take. You've never given this family anything worth remembering. If you had any pride, you'd stop acting like we owe you something and just leave." I replayed it twice. I didn't yell. I didn't call back. I just stared out my window at the city lights I used to love, and something inside me broke quietly. That night, I packed a bag, shut down every payment tied to them, and walked out without a goodbye. 3 days passed. A week. Silence. It took them a full month to notice. Mia finally called, panicked about her tuition payment. I replied with one text. "Thought I never gave this family anything." That was all. Within the hour, my phone lit up with desperate calls and messages. Not apologies, demands. "Your sister's future is on the line. Whatever this stunt is, it isn't funny." Still the same tone. Still the belief that I owed them. So I vanished further. I flew to Denver, rented a small Airbnb overlooking the mountains, and for the first time in years, I slept without my phone buzzing me awake with emergencies. I walked through downtown, journaled in quiet cafes, hiked alone in Boulder. Slowly, I unlearned the habit of bracing for someone else's disappointment, and as the silence grew, their world began to crack. Mia's school threatened withdrawal. Adam's car was repossessed. My parents' mortgage payments bounced. Suddenly, the foundation of their comfort, the one I had silently funded, collapsed. But instead of admitting the truth, they rewrote the story. To relatives, I became the ungrateful son who abandoned his family. What they didn't count on was that others had noticed for years. A cousin of mine, Emma, sent me a message that said, "I'm glad you finally stopped being their safety net." Those words hit me harder than any insult, because she was right. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. When my mom eventually emailed me, her subject line read, "We need you to come home." The message was long, filled with accusations, guilt trips, and one line that stuck. Family doesn't abandon family, and yet they had abandoned me every time they used me like a debit card with a pulse. Every time they forgot my birthday, every time they made me the invisible backbone of their comfort. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the email to my lawyer. I redirected their tuition money into a scholarship fund for first-generation students who would actually value it. I checked the deed of the lake house I'd bought them, only to confirm it was still legally mine. And so I prepared to collect receipts, quietly, efficiently. When I walked back into their home unannounced, I overheard them in the living room mocking me. "He'll come crawling back," Adam said. "It's not even that much money to him, is it?" my sister whispered. And then my dad, the loudest of all. "Eric's always been the weakest." I stood in the hall unseen, realizing with a strange calm that they never truly saw me at all. I left without a word and began the process of selling every property they'd tied to my name. When the auction sign finally went up, I was there. Not for revenge, but for closure. I walked through the house of my childhood, touching the scars of memories that barely included me. A wall where my brother's baseball dent still marked the plaster. A carpet stain blamed on me, though I hadn't caused it. Family photos that excluded me completely. It was like I had been a ghost in their story all along. And as the auctioneer's voice carried across the room, my family stood outside, furious, desperate, begging. But I felt only peace. That day I learned something I wish I had understood years earlier. Family isn't defined by who shares your last name. It's defined by who actually shows up for you, who values you without a price tag attached. Love without respect is just dependency. And I realize that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who mistake your kindness for weakness. So if you're listening to this and feel trapped by people who only see what you can give, hear me now. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to keep your peace, to protect your time, to say enough. Because family isn't the ones who drain you. It's the ones who remind you that you matter even when you give nothing at all.